Content warning. Blood, gore, violence, strong language. Bad End Theater. Enter. Welcome to Bad End Theater. On this stage, we shall be toying with fate. You will make many choices, unlocking darker and darker paths, all in order to witness a lovely variety of tragic events. But first, allow me to explain how it works. To begin the tutorial, select whichever doll you like. Welcome to the tutorial. You control the demon doll. You're a fierce-looking guy, just mind your own business. Wait, guy? How you interact with the human doll? Play nice. You try to make friends with the human doll, but it kills you in cold blood. How ruthless! You found your very first bad ending, but don't worry, the story need not end here. Let's reset the stage and try again. This time, try controlling the other doll. You control the human doll. You're a friendly little guy. Again, guy? Just minding your own business. How you interact with the demon doll? Play nice. You and the demon doll are able to set aside your differences and become friends. How many people chose to attack on the second time because I figured the demon would attack them and just lead to, like, stereotypes? Why, this isn't a bad ending at all. I should have written out this possibility. It's just not suited to my theater whatsoever. Now that you know how the story goes, you can set the doll's behavior in advance. Or, as you just saw, these behaviors will automatically be set to what you chose during your last playthrough. Now you can turn each one on or off without having to replay them from that doll's perspective. Yes, my theater actually doubles as a puzzle game. Now, try turning the doll's behaviors on and off to see the different outcomes. Your face looking, interact, attack. Both attack each other at once and die together. End tutorial. I'm done. Do you understand how to play? Sure. This game saves your progress automatically, so just relax and collect all the bad endings at your own pace. Now, without further ado, let's start the show. You are... Let's start at the beginning. Locked. You are the hero. You like to think of yourself as a pretty reliable and swell guy. Again. Your life has been rather ordinary, aside from the occasional heroic adventurers fighting evil monsters and whatnot. You're told a maiden from your village has been kidnapped and is likely being held captive at the nearby demon overlord's castle. Who even puts a village right next to where an entire demon army hangs out? You don't get it. You're happy to protect the townspeople, though. You were born to play this role. You head off on your adventure to rescue the maiden. But demon soldiers block your path. You could kill them to gain experience. Bravely slaughter the evil creatures. You make quick work of the vile creatures who stood in your way. You feel much stronger now. After a long trek, you make it to the castle's front gates. You're faced with an army of demons that all look very intimidating. There's no way to sneak past these monsters if you want to reach the Overlord. Ask if they'll let you in. You attempt to explain why you've come, but the monster before you is eyeing you with suspicion. They can't help but notice the demon blood from earlier that you haven't had the chance to wash off yet. Whoops. You have no choice but to fight the army in self-defense. Oh well, more experience points for you. Make your way through the castle, fending off all the demons that stand in your way. The Overlord appears, demanding to know what in the world you're doing murdering all her soldiers. You get straight to the point and ask her where the maiden is. She feigns ignorance, a convincing act, but you won't be fooled. The maiden isn't here, then what happened to her? You can see only one answer. The Overlord definitely captured her. In fact, it's possible she's already been devoured. Thinking about that poor maiden's fate fills you with hatred. You fight the Overlord with everything you've got. You become strong from the hordes of demons you took down before this final battle. The Overlord is almost no match for you. You cut her to pieces. The Overlord has fallen. You breathe a sigh of relief, but your job is not yet finished. You search the castle. Unfortunately, you find no sign of the maiden within its walls. It's just as you suspected. She must have already been devoured. You feel hollow. Great evil has been banished from the world, but what does that matter if you are too weak to save someone? You stand alone amidst the carnage and ponder what it means to be a hero. You return to the Overlord's remains and wrap her head in your cape to bring back to the village. Surely a great victory will be celebrated. Failed hero end. Let's retry. Let's be the hero. But instead, the only other choice we had is flee like a coward. Forgetting your pride, you escape with your life. But you can't return home now. Your reputation will be ruined. You wonder how you'll ever be able to rescue that maiden all on your own if you can't even fight some lousy demon underlings. You'll take a chance at the castle. You're here after all. This is your job. After a long trek, you make it to the castle. No way to sneak past. Now we can ask them. You go up to the nearest demon and explain why you've come here. They stare you down and you feel very uncomfortable. But they seem to trust you and escort you directly to the Overlord's chambers. That was easy. The Overlord is alone. That's what they mean, but the Overlord doesn't seem to know what you're talking about. Was she really never here? You wonder what could have happened to her. The Overlord says that she wishes she could help you. You're the first human that's come here in forever, at least that she knows of. You think of how you probably shouldn't trust her, seeing as she's a demon after and all, but you can't really prove she's lying either. You apologize for the intrusion and return home to your village. The maiden was never found. Useless hero end. So you can be dutiful or diplomatic. And that's it. Slaughter all the demons or don't kill demons. Yes. You are... Should we just do it? Probably just do it in order. You are a maiden. You are a maiden. You live in a peaceful village next to a spooky demon overlord's castle. You are told that you are fated to be captured by the Overlord one day because you are a beautiful young girl. Demon overlords apparently love capturing those. You think of how you haven't heard of that actually happening to anyone, but maybe the demons just haven't been given the opportunity? Who knows? You are in church. You pray to your God, asking why you have been born into this role of maiden. You respect the divine plan and all, but you're really just curious as to what the point of it is. You are impatient. Being a demon actually sounds pretty gosh darn exciting. Maybe you'd understand your role better if you were to just hurry up and get captured already. You live a note and venture forth to find a demon, just to, you know, see what happens. Not long into your little adventure, a demon underling appears before you. It looks pretty scary. Introduce yourself. You tell the demon your name and explain that you're a maiden from the village. The demon suddenly jumps you and starts biting. A lot. How painful. This plan of yours is completely stupid, you think. Why couldn't you have been more patient? Why did you go looking for trouble? You aren't angry or anything, of course. It's all your fault for trusting a demon not to devour you on sight. This is your punishment for questioning fate. You guess. Bit by bit, you are swallowed by the demon until you are no more. Consumed maiden end. Reset the stage. You're a maiden. Shout for a hero to come save you. You yell, but a hero does not come. Demon suddenly stops. Okay, so we cannot be a polite maiden as long as the underling is going to attack us. So underling, you are a demon underling in service of the Overlord. You aren't particularly strong, but not particularly weak either. That's what your friends tell you. Your job's to guard the castle and keep humans away. It's unbearably boring. Heroes rarely come all the way here to challenge the Overlord anyway. It's a lot of standing in one place, staring into nothing. You feel like you're gonna go crazy if you don't get a break. You decide to ask the Overlord for a day off. She gives you an earful about responsibility and unquestioning obedience. You wait for her to finish her lecture before returning to your post. What does she know about anything? Who made her the boss of everyone? You complain about the Overlord to your friends. They agree that she is kind of a snob and totally deserves to be kicked off her throne. You only wanted to vent out your frustrations, but the conversation somehow turned into an assassination plot. You should probably steer this in a responsible direction. Let's not. You tell your friends you are totally not serious about the whole thing. You're actually cool with the status quo. After all, life must be pretty dang good if the only thing you have to complain about is that you live so comfortably there's nothing to do. The others nod, but don't seem convinced. You say a coup d'etat would be more effort than it's worth. You're still gonna be a rebel and sneak out the castle. Your friends praise your mischievous ways. The change of atmosphere excites you, and you spend some time rolling around in the grass, wild and free. As you make your way along the path to a nearby human village, you encounter a maiden. She seems very fine and screams for a hero to come save her. You consider your options. When the maiden realizes you're not going to hurt her, she regains her composure. Now she started talking to you like you're friends or something. You don't understand humans at all. You speak the same language, of course, which has always confused you, because why is there conveniently only one language in the world? If demons and humans have independent societies, wouldn't it make sense for them to each have their own language? May is going on and on about some kind of destiny she's trying to fulfill. Bottom line, from what you gather, is that she wants you to take her to the Overlord. Sounds like it could be interesting. Besides, you have nothing better to do. Satisfied with your day out, you take the maiden back to the castle and present her to the Overlord. The Overlord asks where you found this maiden, knowing full well that he left the castle when you weren't supposed to. You apologize for disobeying her, but hope that the maiden is an interesting enough present that you may be forgiven. The Overlord nods and says everything's cool as long as you always listen to her from now on. You're impressed with what an easygoing boss she is. You mention how you can't believe you and your friends even considered overthrowing her. She gives you a look and you say, "That was just a joke, of course." She smiles and dismisses you. You decide it's about time for a nap. You don't get to sleep long. Your friends wake you up. Rude. One of them is stepping on you pretty hard. You ask them what their deal is. They say they're planning a whole revolution. They're going to get rid of the current overlord and put a new ruler in place. They want to hear if you're in or out, and being a pretty lazy underling, you of course reply with, "That sounds like a lot of trouble. How about we just skip it instead?" Friends question your loyalty to their cause. Your friends seem pretty disappointed. They apologize to you, but before you can ask what they're sorry about, one of them suddenly seizes you. Someone who's still loyal to the Overlord really has no place in our castle. You understand, right? The claws tighten around your neck. You don't bother to struggle. You're outnumbered. You already know how things like this end. This is a pretty messed up thing to do to a friend, you tell them. They slit your throat in response. Faithful underling. Reset. Be polite. Hungry? What? Hold on. You consider your option. Maidens aren't the best meal, but you figure you should live up to your demon name and strike back against the humans. You start devouring the maiden without so much as a second thought and feel quite proud of that. Other humans would surely praise you with curses if they were around to say, "Oh man, if only someone could have been watching." Time to find an audience for your evil deeds. You wander into the nearby village. The people are screaming and running away, throwing rocks at you and whatnot. You think that's pretty rude of them. You haven't even done anything yet. You attack the nearest human. He is old and weak, and his bones crunch delightfully. Your audience's screams grow louder. Applause! You think, hey, this is actually pretty fun. Should have taken revenge like this a lot sooner. As you continue your bloodthirsty dance, striking the villagers down, you fail to notice a sword-wielding hero running toward you. He takes you out in one swift blow. You're just a demon underling after all. As you die, you think, that was totally worth it. The curtain closes. In a good mood today, and I'm rather curious about what the maiden has to say. Even so, you should talk to you, so this is kind of exciting. You hadn't guessed it would even be possible to understand each other before now. Maiden's going on about some kind of destiny she's trying to fulfill. The bottom line for what you gather is that she wants you to take her to the Overlord. So it could be interesting, and you have nothing better to do. Satisfied with the day out, take the maiden back to the castle and present her. Overlord wants to know what you were doing. You're impressed with it? I didn't even consider it. That's just a joke, of course. Alright, let's kill the Overlord. Tell me you're just joking and clarify that you're totally in it to win it. They say you're always terrible with jokes. Whether or not you actually feel like killing the Overlord, you know how bad it would be to end up on the wrong side of things. And if the assassination deal doesn't pan out, you can always pretend you were innocent all along. Beneath your shield of faux confidence, you worry about what you're getting yourself dragged into. You follow your friends outside the castle and talk more about the plan. You're curious if they have any idea how they want to go about this. They figure they'd just lock her in a room and set her on fire. What a stupid plan! That could go wrong in so many ways. You realize your friends are just a bunch of directionless thugs used without someone's guidance. Your guidance. They'd probably be casualties if you fought her head on, and while showy deaths make a revolution a heck of a lot more fun, it's probably the wrong way to go. Your friends agree and suggest that you play the assassin. You really didn't want it to come down to this, but you can't back down now. You'll have to be the one to assassinate the Overlord. Besides, no one has any better ideas. You and your friends turn to notice a pair of humans. I've overheard your entire conversation. They take off into the castle. Are they headed to the Overlord's room? No! The Overlord will kill you for sure if she found out you were conspiring to take her out. You dash into the castle after the humans. Sure enough, the maiden's already frantically telling the Overlord everything. You shout that the humans are liars. Your friends soon arrive to back you up. Except they don't. Instead, they blame the whole thing on you. They cry that it was all your idea, and that they were just going with the flow, too scared to refuse your crazy plan. You can't believe they tell the Overlord such a blatant lie. You always knew better than to trust them. You're the one who didn't have a choice here. You'll shout each other until the Overlord demands silence. Regardless of who led this conspiracy, I have no choice but to punish everyone, to keep you all in your place, crushed beneath my heel. She sounds tough, but lately all she does is sleep. You doubt her strength. You hear your traitor's friends mutter something about going back to Plan A, and suddenly the door slams shut. You're trapped in there with the Overlord and the two humans, and then the room bursts into flames. You pound on the door, screaming curses at those who betrayed you. Hero joins you, vowing to slay the lot of them. You'd wish he'd get that chance. The Overlord grabs you by the throat. You cry for mercy. You're forced into this mess. You're sure now that they would have killed you if you'd sided with her. The Overlord doesn't hear your pleas. She drives her claws into your chest. At least she made it quick. Traitor underling end. No! You're sick of this Overlord holding you and your friends back! You agree that it's time for a change of management! Your friends suggest maybe you should be the new Overlord! You like the sound of that? You know it's your first act of rebellion to take that day off like you wanted. Your friends aren't very impressed. You're sure them you'll talk more about the assassination thing when you get back, which satisfies them. You sneak out of the castle to have some fun. The change in atmosphere excites you. You spend some time rolling around in the grass, wild and free. Make your way along to the path. Find a maiden. She greets you and has a favor to ask you. Consider your options. Maiden can only be polite. Disloyal. Introduce yourself. You tell the demon your name and explain that you're a maiden from the village. You tell them that you would think maybe you could understand you all better if they were hurry up and get taken away by a demon. By a demon already. Demon doesn't seem to have really been listening to you, which is a little irritating. They agree to take you to their master nonetheless. After a long walk to the castle, you're introduced to the Overlord. She lectures the underling that brought you here, who's apparently told not to leave their post. You wonder what cruel punishment awaits them. To your surprise, she lets them off easy. The underling is dismissed, and the Overlord turns to you, looking very interested. You explain why you've come, and she squints at you. Turns out she never had any plans to capture maidens, or to do anything else that would agitate the humans. You wonder for a moment if she might be lying, but it doesn't really seem like it. Still, this doesn't make any sense to you. I was been told that demons would one day seek you out. Something awful would happen. Then a hero would come to your rescue. I want to believe you've been lied to all along. Maybe it's just that you haven't been maiden-like enough. Ask the Overlord what you should do to be a more suitable maiden, but she doesn't seem to understand. Just go home and stop worrying about destiny so much. It makes it sound so simple, like this Overlord seems like the complete opposite of you. I want to learn more about her and how she thinks. Insist on staying to talk with her more. The Overlord tells you again that you should get lost. How rude! You just got here! You don't want to cause any trouble, so you figure it's time to leave. Along the way, you encounter a hero. That's what you're doing. Don't you know the Overlord's castle is, like, right there? You explain everything that happened. Hero seems to think you're lying to him. He asks if you've been brainwashed by the demons. What nerve! You're very upset this so-called hero would treat you this way and leave in a huff. You return to the village alone. Everyone is very worried about you. They surround you with 1,000 questions, and you tell them your story. As you explain that the Overlord never had any touches to harm anyone here, you notice the looks of uncertainty in the crowd. People are whispering things to each other while you speak to them. You're loudly interrupted by an older man. He rudely calls you a demon sympathizer. The crowd is growing unruly. I don't understand. You've only told them the truth. Do they not believe you? Everyone begins speculating about what must have actually happened. They weave elaborate lies and ask you to prove your innocence. How could you have returned without the aid of a hero, they ask. You could not have possibly escaped the Overlord on your own without harm. Must be conspiring with the demons, trying to trick everyone into believing they aren't the horrible creatures we know them to be, so they say. Have the people of your village always been this blinded by their fears and hatred of things they've never cared to know? Yes. You wonder how you missed that before. You are seized by the crowd, and voices from all sides are calling for public execution. You are to be burned at the stake. You don't want to die. You wonder, would it have been better to hide the truth? You don't like the thought of that. You've always lived honestly, so why has this happened? Why are you being punished? You hear the dissenting voices of your family and neighbors, but they, like you, are powerless against the momentum. They can only watch as you burn, and you can only cry for them. You are so sorry. Executed maiden. After a few hours of sleep, you're rudely awakened by the sounds of battle. You emerge from your room to find that a hero has slaughtered many of your friends and work associates. What a jerk! Who does this guy think he is, coming in here and killing everyone like some maniac? What do we ever do to him? You lunge at him while he's busy driving his sword into the guard who sometimes brought you food whenever they noticed you were feeling kinda down. You like that guard. You wish with all your demon heart for this hero to suffer for his deeds. You bite into him, tearing flesh from bone. It tastes like iron. The hero struggles. You feel his sword go through you, but there is no pain, only retribution. More of your comrades pile onto him as your consciousness fades. The hero is overtaken. Your army has won. You have earned your rest. Victorious underling end. You look around at the lifeless forms of those you've known as far back as you can remember. You feel glad not to be in their shoes. You also feel guilty to be thinking that as you flee the castle. Do you remember your role, not as an underling, but as a demon? This kind of thing is expected of you. Maybe you'll start a new life far away from any humans or demons, where you live peacefully alone in some deep dark forest somewhere. Sneak into the Overlord's room. She's taking a nap, like usual. It's almost too easy. You silently approach your master. She looks so peaceful. You don't want to kill her. You can't go through with it. Turn to leave the room when you find your friends blocking the exit. In a panic whisper, you ask them to let you out. Seems to have been their way of testing your loyalty. You tell them this is pretty messed up and ask again to be let out. The Overlord stirs in her bed. While your head is turned, the demons shut the door. You scramble into the Overlord's closet to hide before she wakes up and sees you. There's nothing you could possibly say to explain this and survive. You're trembling. Can't believe these jerks would bully you like this. You feel like crying. Light flickers at your feet. Doesn't take you long to realize they've set the room on fire. You and the Overlord trying to get the door open to no avail. You're both trapped. Too afraid to move, you resign yourself to your fate. You and the Overlord burn together. You figure the cleanest way to do this would be to dig your claws into your throats. You do just that. She wakes, but not in time to stop you. You watch as she chokes on her blood, cursing you before finally expiring. That felt terrible. You remind yourself it is either her or you, and you weren't about to let yourself get killed by anyone. You leave the room to find your friends waiting just outside. Look, please! Only now do you realize they must have planned to use you like this from the beginning. You are the new ruler of this castle. Your subjects bow before you. You live in fear that they will one day betray you as you had betrayed your overlord. And B. You gather your courage. This is what must be done in order to rescue the maiden. These are all evil demons anyway. The world is much safer with them gone. That's what you tell yourself when you kill one after another on your way to the Overlord's chambers. You find the maiden being held captive by the Overlord, just as you suspected. For some reason, you can't sense anything sinister happening. They all look at each other in surprise and confusion. This is no time to hesitate. You lunge forward, driving your blade through the evil Overlord. She screams, then falls silent. The Overlord has been slain. You smile, offering the maiden your hand. She takes it after slight hesitation. She must be surprised at how strong you are. You escort the maiden home. She's oddly quiet on the trek back to the village. She must be too shy to speak. Villagers are very pleased with what a good job you've done slaying the Overlord and saving a hostage. They throw a huge celebration in your name, remembered for generations as the greatest hero the village has ever seen. She explains that she came here on her own and was never in any danger. She hesitantly asks why you're covered in blood. You don't know how to respond. Overlord moves past you and out the door to see her army in lifeless, bloody piles. She's wailing. It's horrible. This is your chance, hero. You lunge forward, drive your blade. She screams and falls silent. The Overlord has been slain, and you smile and offer your hand. You hope she'll let this whole thing slide if you could just explain yourself. You really try, but the Overlord is inconsolable. She tears you apart, and the maiden watches in silence. As you die, you can't help but think you probably deserve this. The man seemed to be in the middle of some casual conversation when you barge in. You all look at each other in surprise and confusion. There's no time to hesitate. The maiden explains that she was never actually captured and that she came here on her own volition. That was a pretty dangerous thing of her to do, but no one got hurt, so at least there's that. You ask her to return to town with you to reassure everyone of her safety. The Overlord allows the two of you to leave, and you casually exit the castle. You try to make conversation with the maiden, but she's been pretty quiet since leaving the Overlord's room. Is she shy? She suddenly stops in her tracks, and you turn your head to ask what the deal is. Oh, the Overlord's castle is engulfed in flames. Can't help but feel relieved you got the man out of there when you did, but she suddenly takes off toward the burning castle. Panic sets in and you follow to try to stop her. The smoke is so thick, you've already lost sight of her. What is she thinking? It's too dangerous to continue. You feel hopeless. Stand alone at the castle gates. Your body won't allow you to take another step forward. No, going in there would be suicide. Return to the villagers and tell them there was nothing you could do. You're too late. The man was claimed by the demons. The bystander hero and B. Diplomatic. You put your foot down and tell her you're not going anywhere. You still want to fulfill your destiny, even if you have to make it happen on your own. She's a little frustrated at your stubbornness, but it doesn't kick you out or anything. Hooray. The Overlord shares many stories about demons with you, and little by little you realize they might not be the ruthless monsters you are raised to believe. As it turns out, she commanded her demons to avoid towns and villagers. She didn't want to risk giving the humans any excuse to send a hero out after them. You realize that must be why you never heard of any demons attacking your town. Express your gratitude to the Overlord on behalf of your village. She says you can thank her by telling the humans to stop raising heroes. She's tired of her servants getting killed off by them. I always thought demons were violent and unreasonable creatures, but it seems the Overlord could say the same of humans. Maybe different, but really, they're just trying to live their lives the same as you. You feel like you're starting to understand things a lot better. But maybe everything I've said was to deceive you and the other humans. What would you do if I turned out to be super evil all along? Even if she were to capture you now, you think this place is far more interesting than the way things are back home. Kind of like not being told to expect demons to come after you all the time. You feel free. Honestly, you've always kept to yourself, but spending time with this Overlord has been very nice. You feel butterflies in your stomach. As you think that, a hero enters the room. Surprised to see him at first, until you realize he must have been sent to retrieve you. Confused, the hero asks you what's going on. Explain the situation, reassuring him that you are never in any danger. Hero expresses relief that this whole misunderstanding hadn't led to any horrible consequences. You apologize for causing trouble, but really, didn't anyone read the note you left? Jeez. Hero asks if you'll return to the village with him to give everyone the news of your safety. The Overlord allows the two of you to leave, and you give her a little wave as you exit the room. You'll be back soon. About halfway back to the village and you feel something is off. Unable to shake your concern, you look back over your shoulder. You stop in your tracks. The castle's engulfed in flames. Is the Overlord alright? You can't return to the village like this. You have to know. You have to be sure everyone is safe. You've already taken off before the hero can even think of stopping you. You scan the fleeing demons, but the Overlord isn't among them. Against your better judgment, you rush into the burning castle to find her. You quickly reach the Overlord's room, but the door is shut tight. The handle's too hot to touch. You're too weak to force it open. You pound your fists against the door helplessly. What are you thinking? It's all because you've forgotten your role. Only a hero could pull this kind of thing off. You start to cough. The smoke is too thick. You can hardly breathe. You realize you haven't got much time left now. You desperately head towards the stairs to save yourself. The fire spread faster than you expected. You don't make it outside. You can't help but laugh. What a joke. A maiden saving the Overlord. You're just true to your role. Things wouldn't have ended like this. It's exactly the kind of punishment you deserve. Let the demon fire cleanse your rotten soul. On your way to the Overlord's castle, you spot a maiden heading back toward the village. She couldn't have come from the Overlord's castle, could she? This may be the exact maiden you're currently seeking to rescue. You approach her with curiosity. Ask the maiden what she's doing. Doesn't she know the Overlord's castle is like right there? It's dangerous. The maiden explains that she spoke with the Overlord, and it turns out the demons never had any diabolical plans to harm the village or anyone in it. You aren't sure you should listen to this maiden. You've been taught your whole life that demons are evil. That's if she's sure about all this, but she gets very upset that you think she would lie to you. She goes off before you can say anything else. Time to return to the village. Certain she must have been the kidnapped maiden you were sent to rescue. Glad that took care of itself. Today I'm walking home. Job well done today, you think to yourself. Walk past the town square, you notice the whole village is crowded around. Is that the man you saw earlier? He's bound to one stake. The crowd is in a frenzy. Smoke begins to rise, and he stands idly by as flames consume the maiden. She must have done something horrible to deserve that. Seemed nice, though, you think. But evil comes in all forms, you reassure yourself. Decide to call it a day, return to your house, but you can't escape this sinking feeling. Maybe you aren't cut out for this role. You have no reason to assume she's lying to you. Even though her story is kind of hard to believe, you feel you should trust her. You tell her you're pretty surprised that everyone has been wrong about demons all along. Townspeople must be informed of this immediately. Two of you return to the village. They had all been so worried. They praise you for your bravery. Rain quickly sets the record straight. There's nothing she needed to be rescued from in the first place. Villagers look to you for explanation. But inform them it isn't your story to tell. You merely ran into her on the way to the castle. She explains that the Overlord isn't interested in capturing maidens or anything of the sort. Villagers turn to you again in disbelief. They aren't being solemn how little they trust this man's story. You totally believe her, but to placate these fair citizens, you volunteer to speak to the demons personally, just in case. The crowd breaks into harsh whispers. You're too busy thinking what a great, reliable hero you are to hear what they're saying. The town elder's voice breaks you out of your thoughts. He implores you to meet with the Overlord immediately and says they'll all keep an eye on the maiden until you return. Figure that sounds alright, but the mood is kind of intense for some reason. Did you miss something? You aren't sure what's going on, but you get the feeling it might be bad to leave the man on her own. But he suddenly takes off running. Oh, you thought the two of you were in this together. Her actions have convinced the crowd that she's obviously been a liar and a witch from the start. People are shouting for you to hunt her and her demon friends down already. But that doesn't sound like a very heroic task. You can't help but feel these people are wrong. It's up to you to catch up to her and talk to the demons in order to clear up this misunderstanding. You finally dash after the maiden, toward the Overlord's castle. The air becomes dark and thick as you get deep into demon territory. Evil miasma? No. You realize it's just normal smoke. You see the man ahead, but she's stopped in her tracks. The Overlord's castle engulfed in flames. You'd only taken an eye off the man for a second, but she's already disappeared. You get close to the castle, but the smoke is so thick now. You think of turning back. We might need your help, but you can barely see. She could be impossible to find. She could have been lying to you all along. Is this a trap? Would it be worth risking your life on that chance? Your legs feel heavy. No. Going in there would be suicide. You return to the villagers and tell them there was nothing you could do. You were too late. The man was claimed by the demons. He's very surprised that demons don't seem to be as malicious as you were raised to believe. The two of you returned to the village hoping to communicate this to everyone, and I've been so worried and I'm very glad that the hero brought you back. Quickly set the record straight. You want rescue because it's not to be rescued for this first place. They see blah blah blah. Tells them no one met. That really isn't his story to tell. It's not actually interested in capturing maidens or other mean things like that. Villagers look again to the hero for confirmation. Feel a little miffed they seem to prefer his word over yours, but you don't say anything about it. He claims that he believes your story, but volunteers to go talk to the demons himself just to make absolutely sure. Crowd breaks into hush whispers, and you hear words like trickery and demon sympathizer being thrown around, which makes you frown. You're pretty shocked that everyone's this hesitant to believe you. Does this hero even trust you? You aren't sure anymore. An old man implores the hero to go speak with the Overlord immediately. He says you should be held prisoner and considered dangerous until the hero returns. Much to your disbelief, the crowd agrees with him, because of course, if you are conspiring with the demons, they can't afford to let their guard down. Whole village will be slaughtered by monsters. He isn't saying anything. You'll be tied up and tossed in a cell at this rate. You'll be held captive by anyone. It's going to be the Overlord, not your fellow countrymen. You can prove yourself without anyone's help. You make a run for the Overlord's castle, leaving the hero behind. But as you get closer, you start to notice a tower of black smoke darkening the beautiful blue sky. The castle's engulfed in flames. When God's name could have happened? You scan the fleeing demons, but the Overlord isn't among them. Against your better judgment, you rush into the burning castle to find her. Quickly reach the Overlord's room, but the door is... Pound your fist against the door helplessly. Selfless maiden and A. You boldly announce that you'll accompany the hero to prove yourself. You'd rather risk what's out there instead of staying in a village that doesn't trust you. No one seems to know how to react. You grab the hero by the wrist and take off before anyone stops you, but as you approach the castle, you notice something's gone terribly wrong. It appears to be on fire. Is the Overlord alright? You have to be sure everyone is safe. Probably take it off before the hero can even think of stopping you. Scan the fleeing demons. The Overlord isn't among them. As you stand there not sure what to do, the maiden announces that she's going to prove her story to the village. She drags you along with her. She has much better odds with you around, so you don't object. Adventure awaits. But halfway there, the maiden suddenly stops. Something's not right. Oh, the Overlord's castle is engulfed in flames. She suddenly takes off toward the burning castle. Panic sets in, and you follow through to try to stop her. Smoke is so thick, you've already lost sight of her. For she's thinking it's too dangerous to continue, you feel helpless. Remember, you're covered in demon blood. Don't want to look like you're a crazy person chasing after anything. You nonchalantly walk back to town. Walk past the town square, you notice the whole village is crowded around. Is that the man you saw earlier? But then, a hero barges into the room. His clothes are stained by a dark liquid. It's dripping from his weapon, too. You realize it must be demon blood. Something horrible has happened. Hero suddenly dashes toward the Overlord, sword drawn. The hero's blade pierces the Overlord, and she lets out a horrible scream. You flinch. The Overlord is slain. Hero smiles and holds out his hand to you, saying it's time to go home. His glove is drenched in blood. Hesitantly, you take his hand. He'll guide you through the castle, past the corpses of his enemies. Try to keep your eyes at your feet. There's blood everywhere. You shut your eyes, but even then, you can't escape the smell. All of this was because of you, wasn't it? You exit the castle, and the hero leads you back to the village and celebrates the hero's great triumph over the demons. It feels sick, but you take part in the festivities regardless. You selflessly throw yourself in front of the hero's blade, acting as a shield. It's funny, you think. You never could have imagined this would be the way that you die. The roles are all switched around, but it feels right to you somehow. You're glad your destiny turned out to be saving someone rather than being saved yourself. As your vision fades, you hope that everything turns out alright for your new friend. But your blade pierces the maiden instead. She sacrificed herself to protect this demon. Takes you a moment to recover from the shock. The Overlord wails. Why did you do that? You're not sure if the question is directed at you. The Overlord strikes you in a vengeful rage. You parry, and she is slain. Your sword feels heavy. Look at your hands, your clothes. Blood. Blood. So much blood. Look to the fallen maiden. What to tell the townspeople? Why would she protect the Overlord? She must have been brainwashed by demonic magic. Pick up the Overlord's head, wrapping it in your cape. Begin your long journey back to town. You'll say that you are too late, that nothing can be done for the girl, but the Overlord is slain. There'll be a celebration. The Overlord has walked past the hero and out into the hall. She's wailing. You can only guess what kind of horrible scene he's left for her. The Overlord tears the hero apart in retaliation. You watch silently, unable to scream. The Overlord you've just been getting along with so well has killed another human right in front of you. It's clear now that you've been deceived by his sweet words. Demons are ruthless monsters after all. You somehow managed to slip past the Overlord and make it out of the blood-soaked castle. You never look back. Wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second. You figure if people are this upset at just the sight of you, they won't fully appreciate any terrible acts you commit. Also, they might fight back. That probably won't end well. You're just one little underling after all. This little day out has been adequately refreshing. You return to the castle thinking you'll take a nap. After a few hours of sleep, you're rudely awakened by the sounds of battle. You emerge from your room to find that a hero has slaughtered many of your friends and workers. Yeah. Near the castle's entrance, you spy a group of suspicious demons congregating. They're talking about assassinating the Overlord. You have to warn her. But the hero shakes his head. He says that if this is the true nature of demons, the world is better off with less of them. This isn't right, you think. What kind of hero passes up the chance to save a life? Demons have taken notice of you. It's now or never. You take off into the castle, and the unreliable hero follows shortly after. Burst into the Overlord's room, all your words spilling out at once. He should probably slow down, but there's no time. The Overlord seems to have followed your frantic explanation, but clearly hasn't understood the urgency of the situation. The underling you recognized from before barges in, calling you a liar. You're surprised they were a part of this evil plot. They seemed so nice. The other demons came in right after them, saying the whole thing was the first underling's idea. Everyone's shouting at each other now. It's really stressing you out. You believe the Overlord demands silence. Threatens them with violence, and you think she is very Overlord-like in this moment. Group demons hiss to each other before shutting the door, leaving the little one behind. You watch as it pounds on the door in distress. They locked you all in? You have a bad feeling about this, and thinking that must have jinxed it. Because now the room is engulfed in flames. If only you had ignored those demons before, you and the hero wouldn't have stumbled into the situation. If you just pretend not to hear them, if you left as you were told, only the Overlord would have been killed. But you couldn't have done that. That path isn't an option for you. You think that no matter what, you'll always strive for the path where everyone survives. It must exist. It simply must. The Overlord seizes her underling. They beg for their life. You pray. You don't know what else to do, so you just pray. The Overlord's claws pierce the underling's chest. They scream an awful scream. She digs and twists her claws into the poor thing while you continue to pray. But there's no saving any of you now. You, the Overlord, the hero, and the underling's corpse are consumed by flames. When you make it to the castle, you spy a group of suspicious demons hanging around near the entrance. You can't but overhear the conversation to talk about assassinating the Overlord. It's supposed to be that demons really are foul creatures. We have to tell her about this. You don't understand what the maiden is thinking. The Lord is better off with less demons, all cold, ruthless creatures that should be destroyed. And those same creatures have just noticed you eavesdropping. The maiden takes off into the castle, and you have no choice but to follow. You burst into the Overlord's room. The maiden frantically tries to communicate what you just overheard. Demon barges in next. Shifts the blame back to the little one. Demons only care about themselves. How low can they be? You begin shouting at them. The whole room dissolves in noise as the Overlord yells for everyone to just shut their traps. Shreds with violence. This Overlord is no better than her subjects. Could be so deadly. If you have to cut through everyone here to get this maiden to safety, you certainly will. Group of demons hiss to each other before shutting the door, leaving the runt of the litter behind. Glance around for another exit, but there isn't one. You have a terrible feeling about this. In an instant, the whole room is in flames. What kind of demonic magic is this? Finds the door upside has been betrayed. You join it, vowing to slay the cowardly demons on the other side. The next moment, the Overlord has taken hold of the underling. It's crying for mercy. She thrusts her claws into the underling's chest, and it lets out a horrible scream. You back away. You won't be the next target of her rage. As you dig and twist her claws to its limp body, you can no longer watch. Look to the maiden. She's crying, house claps together in prayer. To have faith in a time like this, you envy her. The two of you, the Overlord and the underling's corpse, are all consumed by flames. The demon is put off by his sudden shouting and asks you to keep it down. You apologize. Confused and hostile, which totally catches you off guard. You tell the demon your name and explain that you're a maiden from the village. You tell him that you had maybe stuff. fanciful. So. 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 He's covered in demon blood! You're frightened by the sight of him and run away! You turn the village alone, everyone is very worried about you. They surround you with 1,000 questions and you tell them your story. As Honestly, you've always kept to yourself, but spending time with this overlord has been very nice. You feel butterflies in your stomach. As you think that, a hero enters the room. The hero suddenly dashes toward the overlord, sword drawn.